Hello everyone, this is another Power Query Editor related tutorial, and in the previous part we discussed about basics of Power Query Editor in Power BI, and we discussed about group by. So let's say our data set is connected, which has customers, orders and categories table, and now what we will learn is rename operations in Power Query Editor. So basically there can be three type of rename operations. One is rename the data source, rename a column or rename a query. So first thing is your data source. Once your data is connected, you can rename it. If you want to connect to new source from Power Query Editor itself, you can select Excel workbook, CSV file or anything. Let's say we have a data set like this. So this is the Northwind data set that we discussed in the previous video also. But this Northwind data set is present in the CSV format. So all the tables in this data set are downloaded as CSV files. So orders.csv, products.csv, shippers, suppliers and so on. So let's say we want to include suppliers also. So we can simply open, and from here you can check if your table is appearing properly. If your delimiter is not appearing properly, you can apply the delimiter. Like in your CSV file, sometimes it is tab delimited, sometimes it is comma delimited. So you can add that. Now suppose we want to rename them. So you can right click on it, rename, and we can call it something like, let's say we call it customers in capital C, or if you want to call it clients, for example. So you can write clients. Okay. So this is something that you can do. This is your first rename operation in Power Query Editor. The second thing that you can do in renaming operations is you can rename your column also. For example, since we have made this clients, we can right click here and rename it, and we can call it client ID. Obviously, uh, when you are going to make your relations between these tables, then you have to remember this. But this is something that we are just doing in order to understand what can be done. Now, one very important thing in Power Query Editor, as the name suggests, is Power Query. So in view, if you will click, you will see query settings. So you can turn on or turn off query settings pane here, and in query settings here you can see applied steps. So here it is saying renamed columns. Okay, obviously we renamed the column. So what you can do, third renaming is, you can right click here and you can rename your query. So we can write something like rename column customer ID. Okay, this way you will remember what steps you have applied. Suppose you are doing something more, and you have address here, you have city here, let's say you have region. So you can right click here, and again you can try to rename this also. Suppose you are removing duplicates, or suppose you are replacing values, right? Let's say you are replacing value. So let's say we are finding value to find null, and we can say no region, something like that. So when you will do this, so it will give you something like replaced value. Okay, but since you want to remember what you have done, you can right click, rename, and what you can do is replace null to no region, this, and you can specify your column name. But here it is self-explanatory that you must have done it in region column itself. So this is the third rename operations. So these type of operations will help you in better understanding the steps, because later when you will do transformation, when you will do cleaning, there will be a lot of steps, and if you have to recall them, this will help you. You can go to home, you can click close, or simply click apply. When you will click apply, it will make these changes. So it will load two new tables uh, for us, and or whatever amount of tables have you reloaded, and it will apply these steps. So this is about renaming columns. See you in the next lecture with more related to Power Query Editor.